Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the flaming hot grilled cheese burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
How's your day going?
Going good. Thank you again.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Really, guys?
What? Jackson's always has those game ready.
Let's go!
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Kenzie with Boise State Soccer. When I moved to Boise, I thought I was ready for anything. Training, no problem. New teammates, bring it on. But driving on snow and ice, yeah, that was a whole new challenge. Here in Boise, winters mean real weather. That's why I'm so grateful for my Ford all-wheel drive. If you're new to Boise or just ready for a safer winter, head to Lithia Ford of Boise. Come check out the full lineup of all-wheel drive vehicles at Lithia Ford of Boise. And when you buy here, you're supporting Boise State athletics. Come see us at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
It's time for the Jacksons Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News. We're breaking down the game with highlights, interviews, analysis, and most importantly, you. Give your thoughts on the game in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a message on the Signature Roofing voice box at speakpipe.com/BNN. The BNN Postgame Show is presented by Jacksons, where you can get a 99-cent 16-ounce coffee or refill with Let's Go Rewards. Need snacks or a cold drink? Visit one of the 300 Jacksons locations today. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise, and our major sponsors, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, RoadPaint.com, and the Blue and Orange Store. At Lithia Ford of Boise, we're proud to stand with Boise State athletics. Through our NIL marketing partnerships, we're investing in the future of student athletes. Lithia Ford of Boise, here to get you there, wherever that may be. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Now, let's go courtside to the Sun Cruiser Studios and join BJ Rains for the Jacksons Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News.
Well, 13.3 seconds to go in overtime. UNLV gives the Broncos some life. The missed free throw. The Broncos get the ball. Dylan Andrews, one of the hottest players in college basketball the last couple of weeks. A chance, left-handed shot misses, and the Broncos fall 86-83 eventually in overtime here at Extra Mile Arena. Abe Jackson, our guest. Dylan Andrews currently on the court getting some shots up here as he typically does after games. But Abe, that was a tough one tonight. Up 17 with 8:55 to go, and the Broncos unable to hold on tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a perfect storm of everything going bad for you, where the offense almost completely shut down, which we've seen in some other games this year, and then they have maybe the best scorer in the conference just go off. Ended up with, I think it was 34 points, and he had only 9 at halftime. So, the offense shuts down for the Broncos. They get a guy that gets really hot. Other guys are making some threes. Huge offensive rebounds from UNLV at really, really important times at the end of that overtime. Just everything that went wrong could in those last 8 minutes. The Broncos ended, I think 2 minutes and 30 seconds of regulation without a field goal. They had one field goal in overtime, and it was the first 15 seconds. So they went about 440 without a field goal in overtime. And just a tough one, especially after such a good first half.
No doubt. And I have that sequence right here that I've been getting from my phone to put into the system here. But you mentioned Boise State about a minute to go in the game. They're down 2 at this point. And Gibbs Lawhorn wants the ball in his hand. This is in overtime. They end up, first missing a three-pointer here. There's about 45 seconds to go here. Can't get the rebound there. Huge rebound by Hamilton, and then another missed shot and the putback dunk.
The putback dunk's the one that is the one that's really tough, because you have probably the most athletic, highest jumper on the floor in Jones, and you'll see him here on the right-hand side bent over. He doesn't get touched. Well, just strolling in there. No one touches him and just goes right in and dunks it. Just he got lost. No one even turned their head. And it's one of those plays that when a stop needed to happen and you got 2 stops and then you don't get the rebound, you just kind of felt like that was the play right there.
Yeah, that put them up 4. They end up getting 1 second left, a little bit of a shot there, kind of had to go the length of the court, and obviously wasn't meant to be. But we talked on the pregame show, Abe, the defense in particular has this last 6-7 games, even though they've been winning some games, the defense coming into tonight ranked outside like the top 180 in the metrics, and that's now 4 games in a row. And I know 2 of them went to overtime, but 4 games in a row they've given up at least 80.
Well, they're giving up 48% in conference. I mean, they're giving up almost 50% shooting in conference. UNLV shot 36% in the first half and then 56% in the second half and 50% in overtime. So, I mean, the defense that was so strong and was winning them games earlier in this season has just kind of seemed to go by the wayside. And I don't know if it seems like a lot of it's perimeter defense to me, where guys are being able to knock down shots against these Broncos from 3. And, I also feel like there's not anybody that is really challenging too much inside. There's not a presence inside that makes people maybe kind of second guess about taking the ball in there, even if they are a guard trying to finish.
And on the other end, Boise State, again, it's been a little bit of an issue driving in, especially against UNLV, and getting shots blocked. There were a couple of key blocks from UNLV as Boise State was trying to score on the interior there late in the game.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the first game at UNLV, where there was about 4 or 5 blocks that the Rebels had, which isn't a ton, but just the timeliness of them. There was a huge one at the end of the game, end of regulation in Las Vegas in the first meeting, and then Jones came up with 2 big blocks. So the one that got overturned, which I think was a clean block, it looked like a clean block, and so that one got overturned, and then Buchanan just buries him underneath the hoop, and he scores that against 9 out of 10 guys in the league, and then Jones was able to get a finger on that one when he was point blank. So, yeah, Jones really affected the game with his length and athleticism.
Again, they were up 23 in the first half, 17 with 8:55 to go. Did you see any kind of complacency? What did you see? I mean, and it happened so quickly, too. I think it was a 10-0 run by Lawhorn himself in 1:16.
Yeah.
As a team, they lost the lead from 17 down to 2 in like 4 minutes on the game clock. I mean, it just happened so fast.
Well, you could just feel the momentum, and there wasn't anything that the Broncos could do to stop it. The offense started to slow down. It really reminded me of Grand Canyon, right? A good first half, the ball's whipping around, guys are making shots, you're feeling good, and then there's a little bit of a run by the other team in the second half, and the Broncos just can't get back on track. And that's what happened at Grand Canyon, and that's what happened here, where Gibbs Lawhorn just went off, and instead of just, I know he's a really good offensive player, but he's not a 10-0 run by himself good offensive player against the Boise State team that should be playing some better defense. So it just seems like this year when things start to go wrong for the Broncos, it's rare that they turn it and get it back on track. If when they go wrong, then they just kind of keep rolling and rolling and rolling down the hill.
Had a 32-9 lead. They were up 23 with 7:09 to go. And Coach Rice said in the postgame, and we had talked about it up there in the media area at halftime, it just felt like when you're up 23 with 7 minutes to go, letting them get it all the way down to 11. Because we've seen it on the other side too, where Boise State's getting blown out. And you're like, just get it to close to 10 by halftime, and you feel you got a chance. And UNLV cutting into that lead, going from 23 down to 11 at the half, kind of set this all up.
Yeah, it did. I mean, you had a chance to stretch it in 18 or 20-point lead at halftime, and it's just, I know it's a lot more points, but the feel, right, going into the locker room feeling down 18 or down 22, where the Broncos, had that much of a lead in the second half, but then you go to 11, and when you were UNLV and you're down 11, and you made that run at the end of the second half to get it there after being down 23, and you got a guy like Gibbs Lawhorn who only had 9 in the first half, and he has the ability to get hot. And I mean, he got crazy hot, 36 points, and was hitting all sorts of shots. But again, how many of them there were a couple that were forced, but some of them were kind of good looks. I mean, good looks that the one that he tied it. I mean, there were 2 Broncos that I think were about 3 or 4 feet off of him from behind when he was behind the 3-point line. So, I think a lot of things that they're going to look on film, probably a lot of things they're going to be talking about just how they want to approach these next games. And a tough place to get back on track, man. Utah State.
And this question always comes up when Leon doesn't call timeouts. He gets a ton of criticism. Why do you never call a timeout? When it's a dead ball like that, a lot of times coaches don't like to call timeout. And Leon's reasoning tonight was, hey, one of the hottest players, west of the Mississippi, had the ball in his hands and is great at getting downhill and trying to get a foul call. And he actually had a wide open left-handed layup. Yeah. I mean, I think they would take that shot any day of the week. So I don't understand that one there.
He got a great look. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. He got a semi-challenged. I wouldn't say there was a big shot blocker there. A semi-challenged with his left hand that he could make, and you're playing it right here, and we're going to see him. He gets in there, and there's not really a big guy flying over to challenge it. It's just he made a good play to get to the hoop, and it just didn't finish.
Yeah, and again, you have your best player, one of the hottest players, the Mountain West Player of the Week, driving downhill, and he gets a pretty open look.
A pretty open look, yeah, and just one of those that it didn't go in, and the Broncos had, got a couple close wins, one against Nevada here where that shot would have gone in, and then against New Mexico. But here's the thing with New Mexico, too, is that there was a big stretch the field goals didn't go in at New Mexico either. I mean, Boise State got to the line and made 13 out of 14 shots, so they were still scoring points. But in terms of the offense clicking still and getting a win, it wasn't there at New Mexico either. They found a way to win, knocking down free throws, but we've just kind of seen when things start to go bad, it's hard for this team to really turn it and get it back on track.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and defend Leon Rice, whatever. I mean, to be up that lead and lose the game, it's not good, it's not acceptable. But in that spot, I don't have a problem with them not calling a timeout. All you do by calling a timeout is let the defense set up, let them have a game plan. You're going downhill; it's kind of a free for all. A lot of coaches don't call timeouts in that spot, and so that again, in that situation, you could not have drawn up a play to get a better look than that.
No, I mean, you'll take that every time. I mean, Dylan Andrews getting by his guys and going to his left where we've seen him finish many times, and it was a pretty clean look that he got.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we'll get into some more of the issues and negatives and things here in a little bit. But what, in terms of, I think the way the question was phrased on the post game was not letting the balloon bubble, pop or whatever. They've been playing well, had some momentum going. You got the Utah State game coming up now, and you got 4 days to sit around after this one. How do you keep this from killing some of the momentum that this team had? Because they had really been playing some good basketball.
They've been playing great. I mean, 6 out of 7 games, you were dominating the teams you should. You were pulling out close wins against some teams that are going to be right around you in the standings. And I think for this one, it's a little bit tougher because I think it kind of encapsulates what we've been watching all year, where this team is tough to put together a couple halves. At the beginning of this season, it was really tough for them to put a first half together, and then they'd come and play an amazing second half. The San Diego State game comes to mind, and then you have kind of the opposite now, where these first halves they're getting out and they're playing amazing and they're hanging in there, or they have big leads. Then in the second half, the other teams just come back and the offense and defense kind of falls off for the Broncos. So it's been difficult to put together a full game for this team this year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, one positive, Drew Fielder does have 27 points. Again, 5 of 6 from three-point range. And R.J. Keene's pass there with a second to go just wasn't high enough to give him a chance to catch that. And he was the guy that was probably going to turn and try to shoot the three there. But that was obviously a tough finish there with the 1 point. I mean, with 1.5 seconds left there, you're not expecting to have much of a chance at a three there.
No.
But Drew Fielder, 27 points. Carmichael, 16. Andrews, 12. Javen Buchanan, 9 points. 2 of 10 from the foul line. Does go 5 of 6 from the field. 5 rebounds tonight in 31 minutes. But so they were real physical there on the interior.
They just took it to the Broncos, right? Offensively, Gibbs Lawhorn, there was no answer for the Broncos, and no one really stepped up to just get the ball out of his hands. You'd rather, at the time that he hit the three-pointer, I mean, it would have been a time to just run at him and just give up a 2 if you wanted to, right? You're going to still have the lead. You give up a 2, but you get it out of the guy's hand who has over 30 points against you. Career high the first time we played him, career high now the second time we played him. So, they took it to us. I mean, offensively and defensively, and we didn't have an answer in that second half. Actually, the last 8 minutes or so, we played well, stretched the 11-point lead throughout the second half, and then just
had it
last
at
8 minutes.
64-47. Spencer Aaron's 3 put them up 17 with 8:55 to go. And as I said, in a span of like barely a minute, Gibbs Lawhorn 10-0 run gets it right there, and it was pretty crazy how quickly it all turned. And that's it's now 5 games, 5 losses, either in overtime or by 3 or less points. So, I mean, they've had 5 games they've lost that could have very easily swung the other way, and that changes the season.
It does, and it comes down to making those single plays. I mean, whatever they may be, we've seen it from the free throw line, we've seen it on inbounds plays, we've seen it on boxing out. It just comes down. There's a ton of plays in a basketball game, tons of shots and possessions, and so many times it just comes down to, can you do a certain thing on one certain play that you need to do? And so far, the Broncos have come up short.
Hey, Abe, appreciate you for joining us. Tough one, but we'll talk to you in Logan on Wednesday. Javen Buchanan, Pearson Carmichael, they met with the media. Let's hear from them after the game.
Guys, you up 17, with about 8 minutes to go, and they went on a real quick run. Just like that, all of a sudden you're only up a couple. How did you get away so quick there that big game?
Yeah, I mean, just lost a lot of intensity defensively. I mean, I feel like that's just the main thing. We just kind of lost our edge on the defensive end, and it snowballed.
How impressive a player is Gibbs Lawhorn?
He's a good player. I've known him for a long time. He's good.
Was that, I mean, what could you have done differently defensively, or was this just not any tip cap to the guy?
I mean, now you got to tip your cap to him. We didn't do enough to stop him, so, we got to get better.
It's your 5th loss this year that has either been in overtime by 3 points or less. I know you all look forward, but is it ever frustrating, thinking, we should have had those?
Yeah, definitely frustrating. No one likes losing, no matter how many points you lose by us. Especially when you just kind of give the game away like that. It's just hard.
Why do you think you gave it away? What do you think happened? What was the main cause of this?
I mean, like JB said, our defense, just our intensity slowed down. And I think some of our mindsets were focused on other things. And I mean, right now, just like I heard you guys talking about, like we've let up 80-something points in the last some games. Like it really comes from the defensive part. Like we need to learn how to lock down, and just not let anybody score. Like 38 is like unacceptable to come in and have that in our gym. But I mean, like JB said, like I gotta respect it.
So I guess, Peter, would you say there's complacency maybe? Again, you guys see up by 17, yes, and it's just you guys maybe get complacent. Is that what you think?
I mean, like I just think we just our defense just got, I guess, complacent, you could say. And it's just something we need to stay locked in at all times, no matter the score.
Once they started hitting some threes and getting confidence, how hard was it to slow it down at that point?
I mean, it's definitely hard. They're a good team. But it's just like I said, like we know they're gonna shoot threes. We know Zero wants the ball in his hands, so we gotta be zeroed in on him and get out of his hands and make other dudes do stuff.
Felt like you guys were kind of building some momentum, having won 6 out of 7. When you kind of look at the way this one ended, how frustrating is it that you kind of let it slip away, given that you guys have been playing really well?
Super, yeah. I mean, can't control the past now. We got to move on. So, but it's super frustrating.
Anything else?
All right. Back here live at the Jacksons Postgame Show at Extra Mile Arena. Boise State falls to UNLV in overtime. They led by 23 points in the first half, led by 17 in the second half. By the way, I haven't mentioned it yet. I did think a call by Scott Brown. I don't know if you heard the folks in Section 12 were chanting, he's a vandal. Mm-hmm. We mentioned it on the pregame show. An employee at the University of Idaho reffing a Boise State game 24 hours after they announced football series resuming, Idaho and Boise State at the state capitol. You have the governor who made that announcement, that proclamation, Idaho grad sitting courtside. And that's not in relation to the official, just randomly he's sitting courtside with watching the game. But thought it was just a little unique again that he's reffed his fifth Boise State game this year. Boise State falls to 1-4 with him reffing this year, and Boise State was up 17, I believe, when he called Dom Perlin for the moving screen offensive foul there at the top of the key, and that is, just probably a coincidence, but the exact time that UNLV goes on that huge run was right after that call that he made on the offensive foul. He made another offensive foul call during the run on Pearson Carmichael under the basket for a push. They did not lose the game because of the officiating. The officiating, I thought, overall was fine tonight. I was surprised they got the flagrant foul call on the hand there on the other end. So the calls went both ways. They did not lose this game because of the officiating. I am just pointing out that Scott Brown, the game did turn, not because of the call, but the game turned at that moment after the call was made. That is exactly when they made their big run.
Yeah, and I mean, you said the officiating was fine. I would say it was unbiased, but I thought it was pretty sketchy both ways. I mean, between the flagrant call, the moving screen call, there was the goaltending where, I mean, you had it pulled up on your phone and you're able to go point by point and see the ball dropping.
Which I guess I had a bad angle or something. I don't think it was.
Okay.
My eyes deceived me. I watched it again, and I think it was still going up on that. So
okay.
I'll take that one back.
All right. Fair enough. Certainly. But even still, there were.
Yeah, it wasn't like horrible, but I didn't think it was good. It was just. Yeah. But I didn't think it was one side benefited more than the other.
Yes. Agreed.
I don't. They didn't lose this game because of the officiating. But it just, that when you kind of look at individual points where the game kind of swung, it was right when that foul was made, the offensive foul call on Dom Perlin. That was a horrible call in that game. But there's hundreds of comments coming in. I can't see them all. I'm sure most of them are calling for Leon Rice to be fired. And it's so funny, man. Again, I'm not going to tell you how you can think, what you can say. It's your opinion. You have every right to say that. But it is so funny how many folks in these chats don't say a word when the team is on a 6-1 stretch, and they call themselves fans. You call yourselves, all these, folks that are big Bronco fans. And I'm going to, it's so funny how many of them just don't say a word for a month and then show up when they're just waiting for them to lose a game. And it's like, oh, here we go. They lost a game. I can jump back in the chat. And so I don't know how many are fans of other teams, and maybe that's it. It's New Mexico fans or other folks coming into the chat. But it is really funny how folks just don't say a word when they're 6-1. Where were those folks on the pregame show? Where were they on after the New Mexico game on the postgame show? I didn't see any of them there, but they're quick to jump in. And I get it. Folks are frustrated. Folks should be frustrated. That's a bad loss. And the season has not gone how folks thought it would go. You were picked third in the Mountain West, and you're sitting in 7th place right now, and you're going to have to fight to finish 8, 9, 10 in the standings. It was not good. Very good. Yep. Here it comes. You're the biggest homer. It's embarrassing. Yeah. I just said how bad the game was, how bad the season was, but I'm sorry. I'm not going to call for the head coach to be fired. And if you want to do that, go ahead. Feel free. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you what your opinion should or shouldn't be. I just don't think that's what I would do right now. But with that said, man, again, it has not been a good season. It has not been a good season. You've lost 5 games that you very easily could have won. You've now lost 3 games in overtime. You've had a problem hanging on to these big leads. The defense hasn't been great. I mean, your season started with a loss to a Division II team in Hawaii Pacific, and that really should have probably told us it was going to be one of those seasons here to start with. So I am not defending the coaching. The coaching, I mean, when the team's having this season, you'd be crazy to say the coaching's been good. I mean, it obviously hasn't. I personally am just not going to go as far as to say that the head coach needs to be fired. But it's been an up and down season. It was another down part with this game and obviously wasn't good. And I know folks are frustrated, and you have every right to be.
Yeah, and in regards to the Leon Rice stuff, I mean, look, if we feel like a coach deserves to be on the hot seat, we'll have those conversations. When Andy Avalos was here, we had those conversations. Ultimately, with the Leon Rice thing, no matter how you feel, whether you wish he was gone or you wish he was here, it's a $5 million buyout. So he's not going anywhere, which for me, like, that's why I haven't written about it. It's why I haven't talked about it, is because Boise State, if they've got $5 million to put into this basketball program heading into the Pac-12, they're not going to spend it buying out the program's best coach of all time, right?
Yeah.
They'd put that money into NIL. So for me, I understand if you're a fan and you think that that's what they should do, like with no actual, like, backing to it, and you're not thinking through the logistics, that's fine. I get it. But like for me,
that is why it's kind of a non-starter.
Yes.
The Boise State basketball program is not paying $5 million to buy out Leon Rice.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why for me, having the conversation about it, it's not worthwhile. And look, tonight was a frustrating performance. I get it as a fan saying, you know what, like, this is so frustrating. I want change. Totally understand. By my research, biggest comeback win in Mountain West play this season. I think the previous record was 14 points. So a 23-point, comeback loss. Like, it's bad. No doubt about it.
Really bad.
And it in many ways kind of summarizes where this team is at right now, because for the first 13 minutes of the game, you look like one of the best teams in the conference. You look like, this is a team who can go on a run, go get a win in Logan. The offense looks great, and the defense, and Leon Rice, who, I'm sure you'll have his post game up either during the show or after the show, talked about, like, for 13 minutes he loved what the defense looked like, and for 13 minutes you thought, okay, this is a team that could go on a run here at the end of the season and maybe win the Mountain West tournament. And then you get to the second half, and all of a sudden, you have some of the shots where Gibbs Lawhorn is hitting. There was one shot where he hits where Dylan Andrews pretty much in his pocket, in his face. Like, he hit some really tough shots.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other just broken possessions. Boise State's -5 in the second half, -6 if you include overtime on rebounding margin. Like, all of the things that you loved that you saw with this sort of Jekyll and Hyde team. You saw the good, you saw the Jekyll in that first half. I think Jekyll's the good one. Don't quote me on that. And in the second half, you saw the Hyde. You saw the defensive issues. You saw the lack of focus. And, like, that half encapsulates all the bad that we've seen this season.
Yeah, and here's some criticism for Tim Duryea. Again, you want to talk about Tim Duryea like a month ago, that was probably something we were all discussing and saying that was fair game with what was going on there. But you look at the offense coming into this game, and honestly, the offensive stats probably aren't going to take that much of a dip in this game. They shot almost 50%. They hit 10 threes, 21 of 23 from the line, had 14 assists. I don't think the offense really was a problem. And coming into this game, they had the fourth best offense in the country. The problems are on defense. The problems, no doubt. I mean, this is we mentioned 170th or whatever coming into the game. I think it was 178th at KenPom and Torvik in defensive efficiency before this game. That's now 4 straight games that you've given up 83 plus points. And I know 2 of those games went to overtime. But this defense, they don't have a lot of great on-ball defenders.
Nope.
They do a lot of switching, and you get a lot of, they have size, but just they just get beat off the dribble far too much, and they just let teams score too many easy baskets. And I think that Abe said it. Opponents are shooting almost 50% in conference play. I mean, that is unbelievable right now. So, I mean, the offense hasn't been perfect, but again, it's statistically one of the best offenses in America the last month. They didn't lose this game because of the offense. The defense couldn't get any stops. It was a poor defensive game yet again. And I know Gibbs Lawhorn is an incredible player. At some point, you just got to tip your cap. But some of the offensive rebounds they gave up, I mean, it was just, this defense, I don't know what it's down to now at KenPom defensively, if it shows.
It's 90th, 80th.
And it was, I think, 60-something
heading into the game.
Yeah, and so the offense is what? Up to
63
for the offense, 80th for the defense at KenPom, and it's only happened like once in the last, I want to say 7 or 8 years where the offense has finished higher than the defense. So giving up too many shots, giving up too many threes. I think during this stretch, the defense has given up on Torvik 3-point percentage for the opponent was like 350th or something. So defense has not been good. They didn't, and I'm not trying to deflect the coaching by saying this, but they just don't. And maybe it is the coaching because it's recruiting. I don't know, but they just don't have a lot of great on-ball defenders. And even AG NATO, who we really liked as an on-ball defender, I don't think he's regressed a little bit defensively or hasn't really shown some of his defensive skills. So I think that the defense has not been good, and they're just giving up way too many easy buckets, way too many open three. Maybe some of the threes is just not luck, but I mean just stuff. It just they've had a lot of. Luck's not the right word, but just, a higher percentage than typical of teams hitting threes on them. But it's a lot of open threes, and it felt like tonight when they were making that run, you just know sometimes when those opponents' shots are going in, and it's just like you could just feel it coming, like when Kamani Hamilton hit that three at the top of the key, and some of the shots you just felt that those shots were going to go in, and sure enough, they did.
Yeah, and I think defensively, big picture, where it's been most frustrating is you talked about like the lack of offensive rebounding, the easy putbacks. A lot of the open shots they're getting are guys getting open off ball. It's not like last year we saw a lot of guards go off because they were just taking Alvaro Cardenas one-on-one and getting an open look. It's been a lot of guys getting caught up on screens off ball and kind of given 80% effort through an off ball screen. And then all of a sudden you get, a wide open shooter and someone is catching up to try to contest instead of being there when the pass gets there. It was an issue that we saw against Hawaii Pacific. Part of why things worked so well for Hawaii Pacific in the opening game was a lot of their off ball cutting and what they did. And then again, that's I think a lot of what you saw tonight. It wasn't just Gibbs Lawhorn taking the ball, winning in isolation. It was a lot of it was a lot of off-ball stuff going on, and continues to be an issue.
Oh, we got Nathan. They're bringing us. I guess we could say we're having a positive night here. I mean, do we go share them, or do we just let my kids have the 5 Bronco dogs here? See if they want them or not. If there's any leftovers, I'll take them home. But thank you, Nathan. That's the only nice thing about these post games.
Yeah,
is they have the extra food from the concession stands, and I can usually take some home to my kids.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. I love it.
But yeah, it was. You're right. I mean, but I still think they're getting. I know you're saying it's not just getting beat one-on-one, but that still is happening too much.
It's still a part of it. Absolutely. Yes. And in conference play, the Broncos are giving up 40% from three. It's just at some point it's not variance going against your way. There's a lack of size, there's a lack of athleticism, and guys not putting in the effort off ball. Like, the defensive rebounding, there's moments of it. This is still the number 1 defensive rebounding team in conference play this season. Like, it killed them in overtime tonight, no doubt about it. But the 3-point defense and the lack of ball pressure, it's something that I've been kind of pushing for. I mentioned it even in the pregame. This team's dead last in Mountain West play at forcing turnovers. They do not force turnovers. They do not get up in people's space. So when you're not forcing turnovers, you're essentially giving teams shots every possession. Yeah. And eventually, Gibbs Lawhorn, he only had 9 points in the first half. It was the second half where he started to get hot, because when you're getting shot after shot after shot and you don't have guys up in your grill trying to make you work, you're going to get comfortable. So
all these just blasphemy comments in here, and the one that sticks out to me the most is we know he isn't sharing the hot dogs. I don't know when the last time was I've had a hot dog. I couldn't tell you. I'm not the healthiest eater of all time, but my kids love the Bronco dog, so I do take the Bronco. Larry, you've never been more wrong in your life. I do not. You could say what you want, but I don't go for the. I'm sure they're phenomenal. My kids love them, but I'm taking those home to my kids if there's any left. They're not for me. But tournament win or bust. I mean, that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, there was
kind of what it was.
I had put it this way: Boise State they were extended bubble. Like Joe Lenardi, I think had him as the 8th team out earlier in the week. Like if Boise State had won out all 7 games and got some other teams to lose, like maybe they're on the bubble come Mountain West play. Like that's dead. That's done. Like we can officially, for the last time, say, okay, at large officially done. Like people had said it after Hawaii Pacific, or they had said it after the NC State loss. Like there's times when you say it and you can exaggerate. Like no, tonight's the night. Like at large hope's done. It's over. Like you got to go win. And I guess the other big part here is
they said on the chat I was taking them all myself.
Yeah.
I sent you a video of my kid having them. Nathan's the best, man. Yeah, all right, my kids are getting a couple Bronco dogs tonight.
Yeah,
there you go. Appreciate that. Thank you, Nathan.
The other part of this loss, though, is that it's no longer you have to go win 3 in Vegas. You're going to have to win 4 tonight in Las Vegas.
Which, again, also is probably seeming pretty likely.
Likely, yeah. But again,
I didn't think they could get higher than the 5, really. But yes, this pretty much officially locks it up that you're probably looking no better than the 7 seed too.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone tanks late, maybe you get to the 6, but like we talked about, if you get that 5 seed, you get this Air Force team that's one of the worst in conference history as your first game to help build some momentum, get used to the rhythms of the tournament. Like you could talk yourself into that. I don't think there's any chance you get to 5. Maybe you get to 6 and get San Jose in that first game, but like Boise State, you're probably going to get the 7 seed at best and get a tough, frisky opponent in that 10 seed, a Fresno or a Wyoming. And then from there, if you're the 7 seed, you're going to have to get one of Utah State or San Diego State, which appears to be the 2 best teams in the conference this year in your second round game. Like this loss makes the road much tougher, not only because it sets you back in the standings, but because anytime you're tied with UNLV, they've got the season sweep.
Yeah, and so does Grand Canyon.
And so does Grand Canyon. So the 2 teams who are probably your most likely candidates to jump to get up to a 6 or a 5, they're sitting right in front of you and they have tie break on you. It's from that lens, like this is about as crushing of a loss as it gets for where they were. If you could pick one game to not lose, this might have been the one. And then obviously the fashion that they lose, you blow a 17-point lead with 8 minutes and some change. Like it's like I said, biggest comeback loss or comeback win for UNLV's point of view of the season in Mountain West play. So you walked into, even just walking into the interview room, the media room, and it's just shock. I don't think there's any other way to put it. I mean, it felt like this team was flying and they were building momentum, and we didn't have the conversations, we didn't jinx it, but it felt like at the for most of this game we were going to be having conversations about, man, this team's playing really well. Can they go into Logan and grab a win? And instead you lose in overtime.
Like I said, the Hawaii Pacific game, just should have seen some of this coming. I mean, you lose that game, you go to Maui, you lose by 3 to USC in a game that you're winning, with a couple minutes to go and have a chance to win that one. You don't win, you lose to USC by 3. The San Diego State game on the road, triple overtime, was a game you frankly should have won, and you don't win that one. But you came back from 20 down or whatever. It was a heck of a comeback, but you lose that game in triple overtime. You lose to UNLV in overtime twice. Let's not forget that both UNLV games go to overtime. You lose both of them twice. It's just, sometimes it's just one of those seasons. It just doesn't go your way. And so it hasn't been good. And if you want to add in some of the recent seasons and the lack of tournament wins and all that, I mean, again, I'm not going to tell folks what they should feel, what they want to feel. You guys certainly are more diehard, Boise State blue and orange fans than I'll ever be. So, I mean, I don't know the feeling, I guess. And I can see why folks in the chat are super frustrated, super upset. You have every right to be. And it was not good, man. It hasn't been a good season. Something has to change. I mean, you can't run it back with the same roster and the same coaches. I mean, you heard Jerome Tang after the game the other night say, these guys don't want to be here, and most of them won't be. Right. And I don't expect Leon Rice to come out and say that. But whether it is, somebody on the coaching staff, whether it is massive changes to the roster, I don't know. But I think insanity would be running the exact same thing back. I mean, you have a lot of guys with eligibility left. The team could look very similar next year, aside from losing a Buchanan, losing an Andrews, massive losses, losing a Dom Parolin. But there are, obviously a lot of guys that have eligibility left, and we'll see what happens to the roster. But I think it's clear something, and maybe it is just, hey, it didn't work this year. You chalk it up. I don't know, but I think something probably has to change. Again, I don't personally feel it's going to be at the top, but below Coach Rice, I think there's a lot of options on the table, and folks that are throwing out options in the chat and throwing out things. Again, I'm not going to say you're crazy, you're wrong, whatever. You can think whatever you want to think because it just, been a frustrating season for fans, for Leon, for players, for coaches, for media. Everybody's, you see it, and it's there's a lot of individual talent. You see some of these games where you're just like, man, and it really did feel like they were on a run, man. They'd won 6 of 7. They're up by 23 points in the first half. I mean, they were just rolling.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, man, this team could go down to Logan and beat Utah State, and this team is playing some of the best ball in the conference, and nobody in the league wants to play. And as crazy as the year's been, they might go to Logan and win. Like, it's just been one of those crazy seasons. Certainly it doesn't, on paper, look like that's at all remotely possible of happening, but just what I would say is a pretty fitting game for the season, to be honest.
Yeah. And look, when you're as good as this team has been offensively, you're going to be good enough to compete with anyone. And when you're as bad as this team has been defensively, you're going to be, anyone's going to be capable to beat you. Every game is going to be close. Like I would not be shocked if this team goes down and wins a shootout against Utah State, where it's just, this team has a bunch of offensive talent that's clicking, but they don't play any defense. And, you get one or two more stops and they upset the Aggies. It wouldn't shock me. It also wouldn't shock me if they go to Fresno and lose to Fresno State because they let Fresno State shoot 45% from three. That's just where this team is at. The defense is not there. It's not good enough, which is, again, it's insane to say. We were having conversations 6 weeks ago about how poor the offense has been, how, maybe there needs to be change with Tim Duryea. And now it's totally flipped where it's like, okay, they're talking about Mike Burns and is the defense broken? Well, the defense is broken, but is that where things need to change? It's been, it's just been such a tumultuous season. And I think you're right. I think something has to change in the off season. And who knows, maybe this team goes on a run down in Vegas. They win 4 games in 4 days. They go to the tournament, and all these conversations are moot. That's why I try not to say anything so definitive while the season's still going.
Exactly.
When the team was 1-5, I probably said a couple things were a little too definitive, and all of a sudden they go on this 6-1 run, and it's like, oh, okay, this team's doing a lot better than we could have thought.
And I still think Dylan Andrews, he was out here on the court shooting, so I was trying to be a little quiet with what me and Abe were talking about while he was out here. But he was the guy you wanted the ball in his hands.
Yep.
You're down by 2 in overtime, or in overtime, and somebody's complaining that they didn't call timeout. But you have your best player. That guy was, not only was he Mountain West Player of the Week, he was winning national awards, and everybody was loving how Dylan Andrews was playing. He gets to the rim and has pretty much a wide open left-handed layup. I did think he was a little nervous because they'd been getting so many shots blocked that he kind of didn't quite get to the rim. He kind of flipped it up there a little bit more than just laying it in. But
it's a good look.
A wide open 4-footer from your best player the last month. You'll take that anytime. It's just, for whatever reason this year, a lot of those big shots for Dylan Andrews have not fallen. And everybody remembers the Hawaii Pacific shot, the San Diego State shot, that shot right there. That's 3 games where Dylan Andrews had, game tying or game winning shots in the final seconds and didn't hit them. Hit the big 3 against Nevada in overtime of that game. Deserves some credit for that game. But he just, sometimes the players have to make plays, man. I'm not, again, I'm not defending the coaching staff. Like it has not been good. You blew a 17-point lead in 8 minutes. Coaches deserve a ton of blame for that. They get the credit when you have some of these wins. There's, the coaches deserve, and I'll have to go back. Some people are complaining about the subbing in the second half when they had the lead. I'm going to have to go back and analyze that or study that. They have been playing a lot of guys and they've been rotating guys. And when it works, it's great. Oh, the bench, and they're subbing them. And when it doesn't work, it's like, oh, why are you subbing out this guy? Why didn't this guy get more minutes? I'm going to have to go back and look at that. But in the end, all of that said and done, you have the ball in your best player's hands, and he has essentially a wide open 4-footer to send the game to double overtime, and he misses the shot. And so sometimes just the shots don't fall, and that's what happens, man.
Well, and I think Andrews is going to get a little bit unnecessarily taking the blame because of that shot, but even go back one possession before that, like Boise State gets a good look with Javen Buchanan open in the corner, and he misses, right? Game's tied. If you hit that 3, you go up 3.
Might
at
have
that
been
point,
tipped at that point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Leon mentioned that, he said one of the guys tipped a 3. I wasn't sure if he was referring to that one or one of the other ones, but regardless, the possession before, you get a good look. It doesn't fall. In regards to some of the rotation stuff, maybe not a total rotation thing, it's slightly rotation, but just Drew Fielder hits his 5th 3 of the game. At that point, I think had 23 points. and then doesn't get another look from three the rest of the game.
Yep.
Like, you've got a guy who is red hot. You need to, at that point, just continue to run the pick and pops that they had been running to him all game long that UNLV didn't have an answer for.
Yeah.
They did not have an answer for the pick and pops, because when it was typically it was Dylan Andrews. They, I think Pearson Carmichael ran a similar set a couple of times, but when they were running these pick and pops with Fielder, the UNLV defense was essentially trapping off of the screen, which was leaving Fielder wide open for a three. And the Boise State offense just went away from it. He never got another look from three. There, I can't remember which analyst, but there's a basketball analyst who always says you should never be able to shoot 60% from three in a game. Because if you're shooting 60% from three, it means you should be shooting more threes. Like, I thought they should have made a point to try to get Drew Fielder a couple more looks there.
Yeah.
Spencer Aarons, I thought, was playing really well, and then, got pulled, I want to say, with about 10 minutes left in the game, and I don't think came back into the game. Obviously hindsight's 2020 when it comes to rotation stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's certainly, stuff that the staff's going to look at. And he even said that in postgame, Leon said, maybe I shortened the rotation a little too soon, and maybe guys just started to, get exhausted. So there's going to be a lot to look at. There's going to be a lot of nits to pick. And ultimately, though, I think it really just comes down to where this team's at defensively. It's not good enough. Gibbs Lawhorn now in 2 games against Boise State has 70 points between 2 games?
I think he had 32 and 36.
So 68 points in 2 games.
Yep.
That can't happen. Just simply put, it can't happen. And I don't think it gets fixed midseason. I think at this point, this team is what it is, which is a highly volatile but very good offensive team
they could lose to anybody on their schedule, and they could beat anybody on their schedule. I think they've shown that. I mean, they are as crazy. I think you or Abe mentioned Jekyll and Hyde, but I mean, it's as crazy of a up and down team as I can remember. It has not been the season that anybody thought. We do have Leon Rice queued up. Any final thoughts from you, Nathan? I know you're working on a story. We'll let you get to that, but before we hear from Leon Rice, any final words?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly disappointing loss. Boise State fans had just started to get excited about this team, and even more frustrating because I think at halftime you're feeling excited about this team, right? You felt really excited about the trajectory of this team, and it's just another gut punch for the Broncos, but ultimately they're 3-5 in games decided by 3 or less or that went to overtime. Like, this team's just playing a ton of close games, and it's because it's a flawed basketball team. And when you play with fire, you're eventually going to get burned when you're constantly letting teams, be in these close games. So we'll see if they can fix it. And, at this point, it's all eyes down in Vegas, see what they can do down there. Got 6 games for seeding, but all eyes are going to be down in Vegas for this team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And for folks wondering, the 7 seed, which again, that's going to be tough to get at this point too. But if they can get to the 7 seed, because we don't think they can get any higher, that'd be really tough at this point. Like you said, you need a New Mexico just tanking or somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The 7 seed would play the 6 p.m. Pacific. The 7-10 game is that Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, and then would be 6 p.m. Pacific again on Thursday, and then I guess Friday. You'd be 6 p.m. Pacific the first 3 nights. All would be 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain Time if they were to get to that. And then who knows about Saturday for the championship. But appreciate you, man, for coming on. We'll let you get to your story, and I'm sure folks will wake up and can read that. And great stuff, man. Let's hear from Leon Rice, Boise State head coach, speaking with the media. Actually, first, before we hear from Leon, I want to thank a couple sponsors. That includes our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise, online at lithiafordboise.com. Check out Lithia Ford of Boise, lithiafordboise.com. Sun Cruiser iced tea, vodka. Pick up a Sun Cruiser. You may need a couple of them after that one tonight, but Sun Cruiser, the sponsor of our studios, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Another nice game for Peanut Carmichael tonight. He had the Peanut Gallery here. He finishes with 16 points again, goes 7 of 7 from the free throw line in 38 minutes tonight. He had 16 points, but Pearson Carmichael, Natalie Pasco, 2 of the many NIL deals with ICCU. Jordan Beasley heading out. Appreciate the great SID, Jordan Beasley. And he was on his A game tonight. We know that. But Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. And there's a branch pretty much on every corner. The easiest, that mobile e-branch online banking. And I believe they make a donation for every free throw made to the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. I believe it's $25. So they're giving back in a big way. We appreciate Idaho Central Credit Union. The Broncos did hit a couple numbers tonight, though, that matter. We should have opened the lead with this. 75 points tonight gets you that Jacksons fountain drink here on the Jacksons Postgame Show. 75 cents. And that'll be on Sunday. You can go get a 75-cent fountain drink from Jackson's using that Let's Go Rewards app. And again, when the Broncos score 75-cent fountain drinks, you can take advantage of that 2 days after the game, which will be on Sunday. And the Broncos did finish with 83. That means free tacos. That's right, free tacos for anybody with a ticket stub tonight. Take it to a Treasure Valley Taco Bell location tomorrow and get a free taco. When the Broncos score 83, you score a free taco from our friends at Taco Bell. Just take your ticket stub from tonight's game to any Treasure Valley Taco Bell location tomorrow. And we appreciate the SOM Management Group, the Nicolason family, for their support of Bronco Nation News. Hey, the Blue and Orange Store, and again, going to hear from Leon Rice in just a second. The Blue and Orange Store, online, theblueandorangestore.com. Check them out, the Blue and Orange Store, all your Boise State gear, hats, jerseys, bumper stickers, car flags. You want the newest Boise State gear, they can customize those jerseys, football or basketball, to your favorite player there at the Allen Noble Hall of Fame location. They got 14,000 plus hats on the hat wall at the location there at the mall. And, of course, you can order anywhere in the world online at the Blue and Orange Store.com. BJ Rains with you courtside. Boise State falls 86-83 in overtime to UNLV. They have now lost 2 overtime games to UNLV. And again, the Broncos led 32-9 with 7:09 to go. And then led 64-47 on a Spencer Aarons 3. They led by 17 points with 8:55 to go. Can't hang on, fall in overtime. And the head coach, Leon Rice, meeting with the media after the game.
First. Good.
What kind of contributed to letting that lead slip away tonight?
Well, first half leads nowadays in college basketball are fool's gold. So there's always that. But I thought it was crucial in that first half, the last 5 or 6 minutes of the first half, instead of being up 20, 23 and taking it further, they became the aggressor, and they scored every possession almost down the stretch of that first half. And so you go in up 12 instead of up 20. And but then we responded again and we pushed it out again, and it got up to 15 or 16, and we didn't close it out enough. And they made every play they needed to make against us and every shot they needed to make, and thought it was a crucial play when we get a 3 waved off an offensive foul, and then we go down and go remove the screen, and we foul the 3-point shooter, and I thought that really got him going. He got to see 3 go in, and away he goes.
36 for him. I mean, what can you say? It's like he did 32 the first time he played you guys.
Yeah. No, he sees us and he gets excited. We got to, and we keep doing we were making the same mistakes on him a lot. But now there were some of them we guarded him really, really well, and he made shots. So you can tip your hat to that. But I thought some of the crucial plays though, where it was number 6 Jones, we got the ball where we wanted a couple times, and man, he made, he had 4 blocks, and they were timely blocks, really timely blocks, where we got the ball right at point blank, and JB gets blocked. And he comes over and blocks Drew on a great post move. So, and then he even got a piece of that 3. So those are huge plays.
And then he had the putback dunk there. I mean, in that final minute, they had 2 offensive rebounds in that final.
Right, and yet we had been that first 13 minutes, man, we were clicking, or 14, whatever it was, we were clicking, and then we let them up off the mat, and they responded, and and then like I said, we responded in the second half again, and we should have been able to finish it.
I think it was a 3-minute stretch where it turned in to a 17-point lead to a 2-point lead. I know you want to say, you got to respond, but just how much of a shock is it to really just have to respond to that?
That went as quick as I've ever seen in that. And that's, it's a little bit who they are. I've seen that, they have big swings that way, UNLV does. And, we didn't do enough to stop that swing when they got it going.
Where does your concern lately on with just, losing these big leagues? It's like the first time this season. Utah State's 20. St. Mary's, you won.
Where? Who was the first one?
Utah State, sorry, Nevada. Nevada, you're up by 20 tonight. You won St. Mary's, but again, that got close near the end of the game. I guess just, it's kind of reoccurring. Is there a concern there?
Yeah, gotta play better defense.
I know 2 of them went to overtime, but the last 4 games you've given up, in the 80s, all
Right.
4.
Right.
You're winning some games that the defense hasn't maybe been where you would want it to be. Where are you kind of big picture with the defense?
Wow, it was spectacular the first 13 minutes. But I gotta look at it. Maybe I shortened the bench too much in the second half and should have cycled some guys through, but we got to guard better, no doubt.
You guys have won 6 out of 7 coming in tonight, and obviously get off to that red hot start. How do you kind of guard against the domino effect here? Obviously, I would imagine that a game like that is something that people can look at and say, some air came out of the balloon tonight for Boise State. So how do you kind of get the team back up?
Say that again. The what now?
Maybe some of the air came out of the balloon after how you've been playing. How do you kind of get the team back up off the mat?
It's just the process. We just process. We're gonna wake up and fix some things that we didn't do good enough, and these guys have been great that way. Every night in this league is gonna be tough, and so if we don't keep getting better, and if we don't get our defense a lot better, which, boy, I was pretty excited about it the first 13 minutes, 14 minutes, and then it slid a little bit. And against a team like that, you let them get momentum and you let them get going, they can make shots, as you saw, and they can make athletic plays. And I think if we would have been able to, get that thing 20 plus at halftime, I might have changed some. But letting them get up off the mat, I think that was our problem.
When DA drove there late, was that the play call, and was there any thought to calling a timeout at any point there?
Well, we had it in our best, right now, one of our hardest players in the league in his hands. He's good at getting fouled. I couldn't see if there was or wasn't. It seemed like there was a lot going on in there when he drove. And so, get that. But your best bet is get to the rim. Your best bet in hindsight is take a timeout there.
Anything else? Thank you.
Got it.
All right, there you go, folks. We're asking about the not calling a timeout there at the end of the game. Credit John Wostrow, Idaho Press, for asking the question, why no timeout there at the end of the game from Leon Rice, and he gave you he gave you the answer there. Bet balls in your best player, hottest player's hands. You want to let him get to the rim, and again, he got to the rim for basically a left-handed layup, wide open there, and missed it. And Boise State falls in overtime, 86-83 tonight. And so another tough loss in a season that's been a tough season. It's been a up and down season, more downs than ups, frankly, with some of the losses and some of the way they've lost some of these games. And Leon said maybe shorten the bench a little too much there. You get 39 minutes for Andrews, 38 for Carmichael, and then you go to 31 for Buchanan, 30 for Fielder, 27 for Meadow, 19 for NATO. Bunn got in there for a couple minutes, only 12 minutes for Keene, only 14 minutes for Aarons. I don't get the Aarons, I'm sure there's some analytics that say differently, but I think Spencer Aarons needs to be playing a little more than he is. 10 points. He goes 3 for 3 from the field tonight. Did have 2 turnovers in 14 minutes, but 10 points for Spencer Aarons. I think that guy should get a little more, run than he's been getting. Somebody saying might as well play the freshmen so they don't transfer. Could be the opposite. You play them too much, their stock goes up and they get higher NIL money than you can afford to pay. And so, wasn't good tonight. Hasn't been good for a good portion of the season. You wonder what needs to change in terms of massive. Is there going to be massive, turnover on the roster? Is there going to be changes to the coaching staff? I mean, what again, all options that you guys want to throw out there, in my opinion, other than Leon Rice being fired are fair. We talked about it, $5 million buyout, 4 years left on his contract, winningest coach in program history, just took 3 teams in a row to the NCAA tournament and was 40 minutes away from doing it 4 years in a row last year. I mean, I think some of you do forget they were in the Mountain West Championship game last year, 40 minutes away from 1 win away from 4 straight trips to the tournament. I don't think that there's much of a chance at all Leon Rice is getting fired. So with that said, I'll let everything else go out there on the table. And so I would suspect you're going to see some turnover to the roster, whether it's guys leaving for NIL, whether it's guys leaving because they're unhappy, whether it's coaches asking guys to leave, who knows. It's tough in this day and age to bring back a large portion of your roster. So I think you're going to see some turnover to the roster. We'll see if there's any turnover to the coaching staff. Who knows? And so, I think that there's changes coming. There have to be changes coming because what's happened this season, what happened tonight certainly hasn't been good enough, tonight. So let's see what else we got here. We got a lot of comments, a lot of other options. Let's thank a few more sponsors here while we keep this thing rolling. Signature Roofing. Online, mysignatureroofing.com. Whether it's a re-roof or repair, an estimate, or an inspection, check out our friends at Signature Roofing. Again, online at mysignatureroofing.com. Speakpipe.com/BNN is where you can leave a voicemail. And again, we appreciate Signature Roofing online at mysignatureroofing.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. 13 locations in the state of Idaho. Check them out at shopridleys.com. Shopridleys.com. Ridley's Family Markets. ShopRidleys.com, and you can get to a local Treasure Valley Ridley's and save up to 40% off on that Skip app. You can get your Sun Cruisers at Ridley's, so check them out at ShopRidleys.com. Ropaint.com, ROEpaint.com, Ropaint.com. Winter painting projects 20% off. If you hit up Ropaint.com, that interior, exterior painting, the concrete coatings, hit up our friends at Ropaint.com today. Transportation Compliance Service, Transcompservice.com. You can get into the trucking industry at Transportation Compliance Service, Transcompservice.com. Transportation Compliance Service. You can check them out at transcompservice.com. All right, I'm bringing Nathan back in here real quick just to help us out here. We need a defensive player of the game. Element Fencing, decks, pergolas, fences. Brady at Element Fencing. We appreciate him for his support of Bronco Nation News. And if you're looking for a new fencing project, all your fencing needs, Element Fencing has you covered. 25 plus years in the fencing business. Again, elementfencing.com. Our defense player of the game. Who do we have to give that to tonight, Nathan Carroll?
And we're saying it has to be a Boise State player, right?
We've typically done that, but if there was one that if somebody with some of the blocks and things, you could go the other way if you'd like, if somebody changed the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go the UNLV route, Tyron Jones has 4 blocks in that game, including a massive one there and at the end of the second half where Boise State trying to extend the lead and he gets the block that we thought, was it a goaltend, was it not? I mean, if you're going objectively for the game, I think Tyron Jones with his 4 blocks is certainly up there. If you wanted to go with a Boise State player, I mean, Spencer Aarons had a block and a steal in just his 14 minutes. I mean, you talked about how, you think Spencer Aarons probably needs to play a little bit more. I thought Spencer Aarons had a pretty good night defensively. So I think for the game, you can give it to UNLV's Tyron Jones for his 4 blocks. And on the Boise State side of things, I think you can give it to Spencer Aarons.
All right, so that'll be the Element Fencing defense player of the game. What about the Matt Bauscher, just overall player of the game? 252-9877. Matt Bauscher, #1 selling real estate team in the Northwest. BauscherRealEstate.com. The Raines family, we bought and sold our home with Matt and his team. Tremendous customer service every step of the way. And I highly, highly recommend Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Again, online at BauscherRealEstate.com. 2 pretty obvious candidates here. If you're going Boise State, Drew Fielder, 27 points, but I think we got to go to the other side again. I mean, it's hard not to go Gibbs Lawhorn.
Yeah, 36 points, 6 of 12 from 3, 13 of 22 on the game. He was the best player on the floor. We have not seen on this court many players come in and play like he did. I think the short list is him and Nick Clifford, both in the last 2 years. What Dre Gibbs Lawhorn did tonight was exceptional. He's the reason that UNLV was able to pull off the comeback. He's, I think, without a doubt, the player of the game.
No doubt about it. Apparently, Matt Bauscher getting some love for player of the game or defensive player of the game.
Yeah.
Something happened. I don't know all the details, but apparently Matt Bauscher helped escort somebody out of the arena. I don't think that he did anything wrong. Somebody was having some sort of issue. Maybe somebody can explain in the chat what happened. I did get a video sent to me by Tottage Cheese, and and I was trying to take a look at what was happening, and Matt Bauscher was trying to kind of play I think peacemaker, I'm not sure, but Matt Bauscher escorted somebody out of the arena at some point, was back in his seat, so I don't think he did I don't think he did any wrongdoing, but Tottage Cheese, you can maybe let me know what exactly you saw. Yeah, Gibbs Lawhorn, player of the game, 36 points, just an incredible game from him. Thanks, Nathan. All right, so I think that's going to about wrap it up here. The Sun Cruiser Studios, Lithia, Florida, Boise, and, of course, Jacksons. Again, you can get the Jacksons 75-cent fountain drink on Sunday since the Broncos got 75 points. Somebody was heckling the governor. Okay, good to know there. So make sure you go get that Jackson's soft drink, 75 cents for any size fountain drink on Sunday from our friends at Jackson's. I am headed to either Walmart or somewhere that's still open to try to find some flowers or candy or something for my wife for Valentine's Day. I know Joey Jenkins, I'm sure, already has the flowers scheduled to be delivered, probably already has the candy for his lovely wife Lauren already ready to go. He's going home to put the rose petals out tonight, so I'm sure yeah, the kids' bedroom. Yeah. We're going to see, but I hope everybody has a great Valentine's Day tomorrow. The weather is supposed to be really nice, so I'm going to watch my Jayhawks play tomorrow morning against Iowa State. Hopefully take my kids out to the ball field, throw some batting practice, and work on some ground balls. We're 3 weeks away from opening day for my kids' baseball team. So just a reminder, folks, that there is more to there's more to life than losing a couple of basketball games. So I know folks are frustrated, and heck, it's much better for me when the team wins and everyone's happy. So certainly didn't love the result tonight from a business perspective either. So it is what it is. But again, appreciate all of you for your support, for supporting our sponsors, for subscribing. And I hope all of you can try to have a nice weekend. Hope you have nice plans for your wife, your significant other for Valentine's Day, and spend some time with the family these next couple days. That's what I plan on doing. And then Monday is President's Day. I don't know about a show yet. We may not do a show on Monday just because there's a lot going on, and I don't know if I have a co-host available. But we may not talk to you till Tuesday. Tuesday morning at 9. I was reading this comment here, 10th most success in March in the Mountain West. I know you're kind of being funny there, Paulie. I think if you add it up, they are not 10th in the Mountain West in success under Leon Rice. I mean, they've won the conference tournament within the last 5 years. They've been in the championship game in 2 of the last 4 years, right? Or 2 of the last 4 years, I believe, 22 and 25. They were in the championship game. So they were in the championship game 2 times in the last 4 years. So let's not get too crazy with some of the comments here. But again, you want to be frustrated. You want to be disappointed. You have every right to be. It wasn't pretty tonight. Blowing a 17-point lead in the last 8 minutes hasn't been pretty for a good chunk of the season. But I'm sure nobody feels worse about it than these coaches and these players, and they're trying to get this thing right. And so I get it. You're all frustrated. But like I said, take a deep breath. There's 6 games left. Enjoy some time with your family this weekend. Hope you have a great Valentine's Day. And we'll probably talk to you Tuesday morning. I'll have Jay Tuss with me Tuesday morning. We'll talk to you before we head to Logan. And again, got Boise State still has 6 games left, right? So you got to find a way to finish as high as you can and see what seed you're going to get. Looking like the 7 or 8, 9 seed. I mean, it's going to be tough to get higher than 7. We'll see at this point, but maybe New Mexico tanks or something. I don't know, but going to be a tough one Wednesday. We'll see what happens in Logan. And, of course, we'll have full coverage of Bronco Nation news. So go to Jackson's, get that 75-cent fountain drink, And I know you guys are struggling. Tough game, tough season, but keep your heads high. Have a great weekend with your family, your friends, and we'll see you early next week. Again, the Jacksons Postgame Show, that 75-cent fountain drink on Sunday. And, of course, make sure you pick up some Sun Cruisers. Make sure you head to Lithia, Florida, Boise for that next vehicle. And appreciate you guys. Tough night, tough season, as I said, but still 6 games left. Still a chance for a magical run down in Vegas. And hope you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you early next week. Go subscribe. Go support the sponsors. And we'll talk to you guys later at Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Kenzie with Boise State Soccer. In Boise, winters show up strong, and so do we. Between work, family, and everything life throws our way, we need a vehicle we can count. That's why I drive a Ford Bronco with all-wheel drive. Right now, during our all-wheel drive sales event, you can get the safety and reliability you deserve. Come check out the full lineup of all-wheel drive vehicles at Lithia Ford of Boise. And when you buy here, you're supporting Boise State Athletics and Lithia Ford NAL partnerships. Come see us at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.